Yeah. Namaste and good morning to all. I welcome back all, on this Thursday morning. As Director Innovation and Startups Promotion, Software Technology Parks of India, and CEO of STPI Next Initiative, it is great honor and privilege to bring the distinguished speakers from the industry and government in this third session of STPI Pulse, the knowledge series for transformative ideation. A very good morning to my distinguished speakers today, Sri Arun Jain, as keynote speaker, and Dr. Omkar Rai, Director General. Welcome, Sri Jain and Dr. Rai. I also welcome, over currently 500 participants which are watching us live. The number is growing, and all my respected STPI directors, my esteemed colleagues from all different centers of 60 centers of STPI. STPI Pulse, an online webinar series, is a pioneering initiative of STPI and STPI Next initiatives, where speakers of global repute are sharing the knowledge, experience, and insights for the benefit of the community at large. Through this series, we aim to spread the knowledge and support Indian IT industry and startups to become more resilient and stay afloat by deliberating on the challenges, opportunities, strategies, and to become more sustainable and efficient in front of this global crisis. After the resounding success from the first two sessions, where both Subrata Bakshi and Chris Gopalakrishnan gave the great insights on topic of the interest in the current times, whether it was Mr. Bakshi's session on overcoming the unprecedented crisis or Shri Chris's session on sailing through uncertainties, I'm sure industry and in particular the startups and MSMEs were able to learn a lot on how to face and leverage current crisis to emerge as leaders. Mr. Bakshi's advice of accepting reality, decluttering mind, and staying calm, and his 11 sutras of survival strategies is coming handy to leaders across the spectrum. Chris's input on how to manage cost, employee expectations, and motivation, and client communication is helping management to deal successfully with the challenges. I'm sure today's session on our keynotes from our keynote speaker, Sri Arun Jain, on design thinking for building global class products will be equally enriching, and I would also request Mr. Arun to draw some parallel on how design thinking approach can be applied to creating world-class global solutions for the opportunities which are presented to entrepreneurs due to this pandemic situation. I would also request Dr. Rai to touch upon the need for Indian startups and Indian IT industry in being agile, frugal, and innovative in not only creating products or solutions for India, but for the world. Post-COVID-19 discourse on the world arena, a lot of people believe will be full with challenges of economic uncertainty, business disruptions, workforce issues, uncertain environments, financial stress, etc. But as it is often said, that crisis brings out the best and necessity is the mother of all inventions. I am positively hopeful that those who will sail through this and make big will be there for long. Reimagining the future while taking stock of the global developments and will not only help address the vulnerabilities as leaders, but by pushing the envelope of technology innovation with the aim to become more resilient and acceptance and quick adoption of new and innovative solutions will, as they are created, will definitely happen. Smart decisions, agile thinking, efficient processes, productivity enhancements will drive the future and bring those who are able to tread cautiously between growth and survival will emerge as winners. I'm sure there is very little introduction needed for the two distinguished speakers. However, it is an honor for me to introduce my keynote speaker, Sri Arun Jain. Arun Jain is the founder of Polaris Group and chairman and managing director of Intellect Design Arena Limited, the world's first full spectrum banking and insurance technology products company. Intellect powers over 240 leading global banks and financial institutions with the revenue of INR 1,459 crores and an employee base of over 5,000. Arun commences entrepreneurial journey by setting up Nucleus Software Workshop in 1986, Polaris Software in 1993, and Intellect in 2011. As an evangelist of design thinking, his brainchild, the FinTech 8012, the world's first design center at Chennai, dedicated to financial technology, came into being. With a constant drive to better the community around him, he instituted Mission Samriddhi, a social impact enterprise dedicated to holistic human development in India. Ullas Trust, a social impact organization working towards igniting less privileged young minds into realizing their true potential. And Startup Nukkad, a unique initiative for budding entrepreneurs to understand their purpose and nurture and mentor their innovative thinking using 10x model. Arun has been entrusted with the responsibility of Chief Mentor of the FinTech Center of Excellence set up by STPI, Chennai, in association with Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India, Government of Tamil Nadu, and others. He holds his prestigious positions in various other forums like National Software Product Mission, Ministry of, which is constituted by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, National Institute of Electronics, NILET, STPI, Confederation of Indian Industries, Madras Management Association, and the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. Arun has been bestowed with numerous accolades, including the Dronachar Award 2019 by Taikon Chennai, CII Lifetime Achievement Award, Lifetime Achievement Award at the Design Thinking Conclave and Awards 2018, Indo-Asian Business Initiative Award, Rotary Clubs for the Sake of Honor Award, Lions Club International Award for the Youth Empowerment, Pathfinder Awards of Excellence in IT, ITS recognized by Times Group. So there are multiple awards which has come to Arun Jain, and we are really, really thankful for him for taking his time out of the busy schedule. Thank you, Arunji, for your continued patronage to STPI. And I'm sure, as I said, your enriching experience and vision will be very, very immensely helpful to the IT fraternity today. My first speaker is Dr. Omkar Rai, Director General STPI, a premier government organization working for the promotion of IT, ITS, ESDM industry in India. Dr. Rai has contributed immensely in repositioning STPI with focus on innovation and dispersal of IT, ESDM industry beyond metros. With over 25 years of experience in IT, ESDM sector, with a unique distinction of enabling close working of government and IT industry, he has been instrumental in formulating an appropriate interface among industry, academia, and various industry associations. His hallmark collaborative model has helped us to constitute and charter new paths in terms of center of excellences and a lot of new initiatives within STPI and within the IT industry fraternity in India. His recent initiatives like Next Generation Incubation Scheme, Mighty Startup Hub, BPO promotion schemes, right, and multiple such initiatives under National Policy on Software Products are sure, and I'm sure as a brand ambassador of Indian IT industry, he has been driving the vision of emergence of India as a product nation. So we are thankful, Dr. Rai, for your presence again in this event. We will once after the keynote sessions and from this both from our speakers, we'll take up Q&A from the audience towards the end. So I once again welcome you all in this webinar session. I invite Dr. Rai for his inaugural thoughts. So Dr. Rai, over to you.
Thank you very much, Subodh. It's my pleasure. Good morning to all the participants, and my regards to a very distinguished speaker, Sri Arun Jain, STPI, and myself both are very grateful to him for his valuable time that he has spared to us. I am very sure that the participant would benefit from his point of view, his insights, and his wisdom that he has accumulated and has been sharing for a long time. Uh, we are passing through a very challenging time, and challenging times require challenging measures. Uh, Whenever a society or a nation or a community is presented with challenges, at the same time, a vibrant society, a enthusiastic society takes up those challenges and solve the problem that are before them. And I must say that since this COVID-19 issue came up and India started gearing up, for meeting the challenge posed by it. Even before the lockdown, a very vibrant IT industry of India, a leading, industry of India, started doing things, putting up measures to make sure that this sector is least impacted by this onslaught of COVID-19. You know that even the lockdown, which was announced on 23rd night, Indian IT industry started taking measures and steps to take the work from home, and therefore it was ready to meet the challenge that was coming before us, before them. And that is how industry, IT industry, which started in beginning of it, is with the leaders who started shaping up, putting the things, best practices in place, made IT industry a world-class industry, which is today a very strong, industry with $147 billion export in year 2018-19, and overall IT revenue amounting to $191 billion, with more than 4.1 million, employment in this sector. Because of the strength of this industry, because the very nature, intrinsic nature of the industry, which is virtual and collaborative framework of functioning, collaborative development, co-creation, on-site, off-site work culture, outsourcing model, and it's all effort on moving up the value chain. Indian IT industry has been the flag bearer and has adopted and handheld the modern techniques of functioning and working, and that is how the Indian IT industry has been able to propel the India's startup ecosystem. We know that India has quickly come up to the third largest ecosystem in the world in the startup arena, with about more than 9,000 startups, with 24 unicorns, with cumulative valuation of 55 billion startup ecosystem in this country. And that has happened because of a very strong sounding IT outsourcing industry in this country, which has supplied talent, mentors, funding, and all know-how required for the startups in terms of product creation and IPR creation. And that apart from the a very strong foundation and support that was extended by the IT industry of India in creation of a startup ecosystem in India, Government of India also supplemented with the Startup India program, so that the combined effect of a kind of combined effect of all the startup ecosystem could be channelized and a brand could be created. Apart from the incentives, the Startup India brand, Startup India program has helped the startups together and collect their energies around this program, and that has really positioned India very well in the world arena in terms of startup ecosystem. We know that once the lockdown was announced, the entire country was brought to the standstill, and therefore India was facing challenge in terms of collaboration, communication, and interfacing. That India has adopted to the latest technologies. The India became the one of the largest user in the entire world during this Corona-19 lockdown time. In terms of uses of Zoom. Now, once the Zoom was basically discouraged by for obvious reason, Indians started adopting, Zoho, AirMeet, and such other platforms to communicate to each other, to share knowledge, collaborate, and work on. The Government of India, Ministry of Electronics and IT, during this period itself, has come up with a challenge grant scheme for development of video conferencing, indigenous video conferencing solution with 1 crore grant in aid in provision. That is already happening. This competition is this challenge is going on right now. The Government of India, Ministry of Electronics and IT has already planned 4 such challenge grants, which will happen very quickly during this thing for creation of IPR and products. That once this lockdown has been announced world over, we are seeing a lot of changes. We know that the services sector, mostly the transport, the tourism, the other sector, luxury and all, they have got a beating and they have got a challenge. Other hand, we have been opened up with certain opportunity, great opportunity in terms of healthcare, education, online retail, healthcare and all, where there is an opportunity to create a lot of products around. And therefore, we together have to, put our efforts together, align ourselves, and work together to make sure that we create enough products during for meeting these kind of challenges. There is a lot of cultural change in the government also. The governments are today are more adaptive to any kind of product that is created by Indians. The adaptability has increased. We are able to, the entire population of India has been using technology since the lockdown has started. The kind of tremendous platforms have been used by Indians, whether it is Google Hangout, whether it is Facebook Live, whether it's YouTube channels, whether it is Zoho Meeting, Air Meet, Google Meet, WebEx, and all sorts of technologies, collaborative platform, video conferencing solutions are being used, and people in India have not kept idle. They have been active even during this time. I have seen a lot of activity in terms of startup ecosystem during this period. And I have also witnessed a lot of collaboration between the government and the startups. When rapid testing kit for COVID-19 from a particular country didn't give enough results, good results, the Indian startup, Indian innovators have come up with a kind of testing kit which is much cheaper and much reliable than the rapid testing kit that was imported from a particular country. And that has been quickly adopted by the governments at large to test and to see who are COVID infected and who are not. So I must say that these are very challenging times, at the same time very interesting times, and owing to the kind of ecosystem that IT industry has created in this country, talent, know-how, product creation, everything, and an upcoming and a vibrant ecosystem of startups in this country. I am very sure that the kind of experience we are passing through, the kind of time we are passing through right now, or the kind of orientation that the Indians are having right now, the kind of adaptability, receptivity that Indian stakeholders, the governments, and other corporations of India are having for trying new products right now. It's an opportune time, golden time for Indian startups to come up and create products, IPRs, and ideas to be consumed by Indians at large. I am very sure that Sri Arun Jain, who is the champion of a design thinking approach, which is must and necessary for creation of world-class product, and his own experience in creation of corporations, and like Polaris, Intellect Arena, and Design, and most of you may not know that he is the one who drives the government e-marketplace, world's largest e-commerce company of the government in the entire world. I am very sure that in times to come, the GEM portal is going to compete, though the clients of GEM are only government organization. It's not open for public. But I'm very sure that in times to come, the GEM will evolve better than the Flipkart and Walmart. And therefore, I must say, I must extend my gratitude towards him for, and on my behalf, my organization's behalf. And I must wish, and I must know, I must say that all the participants would benefit from him, his wisdom, his approach that is necessary for world-class product creation. Actually, I must also say that he is one of the champions and pioneers who indulge himself in creation of product rather than extending IT services. And that is how, when today we are talking about national policy on software product, which was launched 2019, and that is now we are working towards that. And I am very sure that in times to come, India would also emerge as a product nation, as a product destination. But I must say that he is the right person to talk about these things, because he was the champion and pioneer in Indian software products. And that is why it's good that you listen to him. With this, I must wish this whole talk a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your, as always, the very inspiring thought, and as I think we can see the feedback also from your insight. I think industry is able to take a lot of cue and move forward both in the startup as well as the MSME sector. Let me now invite our keynote speaker, Sri Arun Jain, for his keynote session. So, sir, over to you. We can hear you. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. It's close to afternoon. And thank you very much, Omkarji, to set up the stage for this conversation and STPI role. I happen to be the entrepreneur which started in 1991, when STPI just started, with a dream of becoming a $185 billion dream in 2007. So 1997, when STPI and NASSCOM put the dream that Indian IT industry could be $85 billion by 2007, many people didn't believe because the whole industry was a $1 billion industry. Why I'm connecting this is that this is a moment of time when it became $147 billion. If you translate it in rupee, it's a 10 lakh crore. 10 lakh crore is a 40% of Indian government, central government budget. Our central government budget is only 26 lakh crore, and 10 lakh crore comes from software industry. Is a substantial. It's not a part of GDP, 40%, but it's a double the agriculture industry or many industries together, and which is coming from the kind of a talent IT industry has brought in, and that kind of a government facilitation happen, and kind of a participation jointly happen between government and IT. Now it's a point of connecting to design thinking, where I got inspiration from design thinking. School of Management, MBA, started sometime in 1908 by Harvard schools. And the purpose of starting management school was when Ford and automobile sector was emerging as a industry which was changing the humanity at that time. And they needed managers who can run those factories in assembly line operation. Now, after that, there's no new course came in education system. Sometime in 1991, Stanford University thought of design thinking as a way to disrupt the market, because when the technologies were coming in, they didn't know how the technology can be usable for the end people. We were doing a lot of computer innovations and a lot of hardware, a lot of chips, but to translate that into humanity was not happening. And that is the time when design thinking course was launched in Silicon Valley. And that changed the culture of Silicon Valley. Today, Silicon Valley generates more than $1 trillion for the American economy. And same thing has not happened in New York. So you'll be surprised it's not America's success. It's only Silicon Valley's success. And in Silicon Valley, there are only 3 million people. They're less than an entire America people. And they try to replicate Silicon Valley in Boston. They try to replicate in Chicago. They couldn't replicate. So I was quite curious that why it is not replicatable. Because cultures are difficult to replicate. Processes are easy to replicate. So American processes can go to the Japan and they can replicate, but cultures are not. Thinkings are not. And in Indian thinking, if you look at it, the old Shastras and Upanishad, we say darshan, gyan, charitra. तो हमारा जो फोकस है हिंदुस्तान, थोड़ा सा 2 हिंदी शब्द बोलूंगा कि पहले दर्शन बदलते हैं, तो जैसे दर्शन बदलता है, ज्ञान बदलता है, और ज्ञान बदलता है तो चारित्र बदलता है. जबकि वेस्टर्न थिंकिंग प्रोसेस चारित्र से शुरू होती है. चारित्र मीन्स डूज एंड डोंट्स, नॉलेज इज मीन्स टू डू इट, ज्ञान, एंड दर्शन मीन्स द पर्सपेक्टिव, द फिलॉसफी ऑफ हाउ टू डू इट. So design thinking is the closest to darshan. So design thinking is a combination of 3 words. Or darshan is a combination of 3 words, and design thinking combination of 3 words. It's a philosophy, it's a perspective, it's a vision. All the 3 things when you design, then you acquire the appropriate knowledge, and when you acquire appropriate knowledge, it leads to appropriate character and behavior of the organization. So for designing a product, India has an opportunity now with $147 billion base available to us. We are knowledgeable about all the technologies which is available in the world. This is a time we should aspire to become a 1 trillion software industry. And that 1 trillion will not come from services. 1 trillion will come from the products only. Because a single day, a Zoom can disrupt Cisco. If you know the history of Zoom, the CEO of the Zoom is an ex-employee of Cisco, and Cisco couldn't able to disrupt the market. He understood the market phenomena and brought the price disruption because of his Chinese thinking. He disrupted the price disruption, and today he has a 200 million user, while Cisco is still having less than 10 million users. So that's a substantial shift which can happen, and India is in the right position because we have a consumer also here. So we have one advantage: we have a product and we have a consumer. So if we connect the 2 of them, the way China has connected, there's a huge opportunity of product business to be launched over here. And this period of coronavirus, the one thing it taught us is that we can equally efficient sitting at home. So when we did a first wave that any software can be written from anywhere, now we are saying software can be written from any home. So from anywhere to any home is the way we are learned during last 30 days. And I personally believe my personal productivity has gone up by 15 to 20% just because I'm a I'm able to focus my attention over the period of time. When I was going and traveling, my attention span was getting broken, and which was not resulting into a completion of the project. So if I look at my productivity, that in last 30 days, number of projects I completed, I was looking at in the morning, I would have completed close to 15 projects on my table. While in normal situation, I would have taken 3 months to complete those 15 projects end to end, because I would have an interruption in between. So sometime we learned how the concentration is equally important in doing it. And that's where I say my design thinking journey. Then I came back from 2007 to India. I said, okay, we need to change Polaris culture to design thinking culture. It was a difficult task. I started taking session of design thinking from 2009 onwards within the organization. I took 1,000 people trained on design thinking. It was impacting some 10%, 15%. It was still not changing the culture of the company because it is difficult to change the culture. Then I said, okay, at 2011, I said, I need a temple of excellence, because to change the culture, you need a temple. So we sat down and designed 8012, our design center. We took 30,000 square feet of the space and say, let's design the space in such a manner which inspire design thinking. My question to all of the audience is, what is design thinking? If you have a literal meaning of design thinking, what does it mean? It means design is a one word, thinking is a second word. The way we design fashion, the way we design room, the way we design our cupboard, that is the way we design the entire thinking process. So how we experience the same journey of all the people in the organization, from business manager to sales manager to development manager to production manager to delivery manager, how do you align of them is a way you can design the thinking of the entire organization and institution. So this design center helped me out in bringing the culture shift. It took me last 5 years to bring a common vocabulary of design thinking within the company. And that's where we moved on to the next stage. Next slide. So this is my inspiration, and from there I picked up a world-class product. So my journey was, I was running Polaris software very successfully, generating a profit of some 200, 300 crore per year. Profit were coming into the company. In 2012, I said, okay, let me take a bet that can we do something around the product space. I was in comfort zone. In design thinking, we say vulnerability helps you in thinking faster than anything else. So I separated the company of product from the Polaris, which was very comforting place, and I become vulnerable. This vulnerability helped me out in investing almost 200 crore per year. The money which I was getting 200 crore as a profit, I was now burning 200 crore per year for building this product journey between 2015 to 2018. And that was keeping me on my toes, because when you are burning 200 crore a year, then it needs a kind of a attention on your cash flow, attention on your investment, attention on your every small element. Every investor asks you the question. So that put me on vulnerability, and that gives me a further sharpness to my product space when I have to deliver. In a comfort zone, you don't deliver the world-class products. Go to next. So I just give you a concise overview now, because it's just a 1 hour session. Normally, I conduct a workshop between 1 day to 3 day workshops on design thinking, but this is a session which is just a view of it. I would suggest that if people are interested afterwards, I have published a book called Unmukt, which can be downloaded. I will put in chat session the link. It is available to be downloadable. We are offering free right now. And then, so now looking at it, first thing in the design thinking is how the thinking process shifts. What is the element of thinking process shift? We shift the thinking process by first thing called listening. Because thinking can shift by listening, reading, observing. They are the only 3 elements to which, and dialoguing. That's the only way to shift the thinking process of all of us. All of us sitting in this call are here just because somebody helped shaping our thinking process of what happened to our life. But listening has a very simple meaning or very difficult meaning. Simple meaning of listening is what I'm hearing from the ears. While listening is without interpretation, without judgment, and without having the biases. So for design thinking, when you're listening to customer, when you're listening to your peers, you need to listen without a biases and without a prejudgment to him. Next. Then from listening comes a dialogue. There's a difference between dialogue and discussion. Normally in companies, we land up into dialogue discussions. Discussion means I want to justify my viewpoint, other person wants to justify his viewpoint. That's a dialogue, that's a discussion. Dialogue is when I speak something and another person speaks something, and together we create a third view of the world is a dialogue. It's a two people dialoguing. So in design thinking, dialogue is the most important word. So we remove the word from our vocabulary in intellect. We never say it's a discussion meeting or a review meeting. It's a dialogue meeting, because in dialogue meeting, there's a possibility of exploring something new opportunity which will come in. So when any crisis comes in, which gives you opportunity, it happens with the dialogue. Next. Third piece is the observation. How do you observe the things at the client side? How do you observe the things in the marketplace? What is happening in a competitive marketplace? What is happening in China? What is happening in Silicon Valley? What is happening in Europe? What is happening in Germany? Why Germany is different from UK or UK is different from Italy? I think these are all observations, what we look at day in, day out. But do we able to draw the patterns out of those observations? That's what we need to think about in observation. Move next. So I define the design thinking, press more buttons. So design thinking definition, I would say there are 3 definitions of design thinking. I will go with the definition 1. Definition 1 of design thinking is human desirability. What is my desire? And from where is inspiration I'm drawing from. Second is technology which makes it feasible. That comes from the ideation. And third is business makes it viable. When startup system is there may be desirability, there may be feasibility. It's a business which makes it viable, and the customer makes it viable. And the intersection of this is called experience, which is the design thinking definition number 1. Go to next. The second definition of design thinking comes from a simplification perspective, that when there are a lot of mysteries there in the system, you draw patterns and create heuristics out of it. And when you make it a algorithm next, where all the dots gets connected and separately identified, that becomes algorithm, that becomes the design thinking. So now stock market can be considered as a mystery, that price goes up, but some people it's a heuristics. And for some people like Goldman Sachs, they created algorithm out of it, which is called algorithmic trading. So algorithm, we can build up algorithm of any product. When Gmail is there, it's an algorithm. Millions of people adopt Gmail, millions of people adopt Facebook, millions of people adopt WhatsApp. That becomes an algorithm because here are only 5-6 buttons to be pressed. It's not a mystery to communicate with each other. The third definition of design thinking is understanding the requirement, stated and unstated. The second question is very important, unstated requirement. A lot of time customer don't know what he needs. He never able to state. In 2007, I used to carry 4 devices in my bag. One was for communication phone, second was Casio diary, third piece was camera, and fourth was a music instrument. Now somebody like Apple, Steve Jobs thought that these 4 devices every traveler carry with his bag, and we have a 4 transformer of each one of them and charger for each one of them. That was unstated need, that can there be one device which carries all the 4 purpose? And then he designed iPhone. As soon as he designed iPhone, the phone industry changed. That is the unstated need. The second thing in this space is observing patterns and anti-patterns. You observe certain patterns, you observe certain anti-pattern. Anti-patterns observation is more important. What succeeds, what fails is anti-pattern. Then once you observe them, then you connect the dots. Connect the dot within the box or outside the box. Within the box is within the system, or outside the box, outside the ecosystem. So within the box is, within the iPhone, they connected all the dots. Outside the system is, they connected the dots with iTunes and music industry so that you can download the music system. They connected the dot with AT&T. Those are outside the box. And finally, we need to understand what are my blind spots. I need to unearth my blind spot. Lot of time in our journey, we always land up into narrow view of what we are doing. We don't see how other people are working. And this is the biggest space of design thinking is I don't know what I don't know, unearthing the blind spot. If I know what I don't know, I can learn. But in a lot of situations, I don't know what I don't know. I think that's where the biggest opportunity lies in discovering our own strength and competency of institution as well as organization or individually. So these are three definitions of design thinking. From these three design thinking definition, I try to make it concise based on my learning of various successful product company. I see that the first law of design thinking is less is more. You don't need 100 products what IBM has. You need 5 products to generate more revenue than IBM. So IBM used to be having more than 100 products, and Apple has only 4 products. 4 products can generate $250 billion, and 100 products generate $80 billion. So that's a difference of power of less is more. So we have anxiety in India to run more businesses, more products. We need to have a lesser product but best product in the world. That's a law number 1. Law number 2 is 98% products are similar. 98% products are similar. All the cars will be similar. All the Motorola phone, every Chinese phone will be similar. All the functionality will be similar. It's the last 2% which is 200%. Last 2% means the gap between 98% to 100% takes a journey of 2 to 3 years of refinement, and that makes a huge difference. So you have observed a lot of products which have come up in the last few years. This is the last 2%, last 1%, last 0.1%, which made a difference. We had a Facebook and we have a Google groups. Google group couldn't succeed in spite of their large customer base, because Facebook had a philosophy of, they first started LCS, likes, comment and share, which enabled the people to work on emotional psychology of customers. That was the last 2%. The difference between 2-star hotel and 5-star hotel, or 3-star hotel and 5-star hotel and 7-star hotel is only 1%. Otherwise, room is same. That 1% difference gets you 3 times the pricing, and that's the value of the last 2%. Sometime in Indian, we don't have a patience to get into the last 2%. We do a very good product up to 98% and leave last 2% for somebody else to imitate and copy us. Next. And third thing is, when we are prioritizing, prioritize not on a scale of 1 to 10, because a lot of time we have a lot of action list which is there. A lot of projects are there to make a difference. You need to see what is a 1000 gram item. 1000 gram item can impact 10 of 100 gram items. So if you have pick up 10 gram items, your time gets invested and you feel you are working, a lot of work you are doing, a lot of work you are completing. But if you complete 2000 gram item which can impact the company, that's more than picking up 30 of the 10 gram items. So these 3 laws of design thinking, less is more, last 2% is 200%, and theory of prioritization is a significant, powerful rules which we are using in Intellect very, very effectively for our customer. When the differences are there, we ask customer, what is your 1000 gram item? What will impact your business? He brings much more sharper outcome. So for all the companies who are attending it, this is the 3 laws. If you can just apply, it can help substantially in COVID environment. It will further useful because you don't have enough time and you can differentiate what I can do sitting out of home versus what I need to do face to face. Next. Now, if I have to choose a global products, what could be my algorithm for it? I just try to put some algorithm principles over here, very, very concise. I say first choosing the product. Any product which you're choosing as a startup or as a company, we need to understand the landscape of the product. Who are my competitors? Who are building the similar product? What technologies are available to build that product? That's a landscape of it's like a cartographic view of the earth that need to be drawn for choosing the product. Then choose a strategy. You are innovator product category or you are imitator product category. It's not necessary to all the time to be innovator. Sometimes we say, oh, what is my differentiation? It should be new. Not necessary it should be new. you have to choose between Apple strategy and Samsung strategy. Apple is an innovator product company and Samsung is just follower company. So Samsung does whatever Apple does after 3 months at a lower price. And Samsung sells more devices than Apple sells. So it's a very interesting phenomena that AirMeet need not be the first company in the world. First company in the world could be Cisco WebEx. Second company could be Zoom. AirMeet can come and compete with them and improve some features of the both gaps of both of them and become a leader in the same space. So that's a imitation, but not a innovation. So a lot of time we Indian have a one tendency, oh, what is the difference? What is the uniqueness? What is the newness about it? Nothing about newness, even if it's the same product is there, which works smoothly, better and faster adoption. Freshworks is a very simple company of help desk. There's nothing so great differentiated. Zoho is a standard company, but they have made a big difference to the global marketplace from India. Once you pick up whether you want to be innovator, whether you want to be imitator, next thing is identify unstated pains. Because when AirMeet is coming and they want to look at it as a conference method, what is the unstated need of the people who are using Google Hangout or who are using Skype or Google Meet, and try to fix those element of unstated needs. Customer will never be able to articulate those unstated needs. It needs to be understood by the company which is there. And then choose a disruption mode. Disruption can be by ease of use. Disruption can be ease of adoption. Disruption can be by pricing alone. Zoom has done a disruption by the pricing alone. $15 pricing per user is a pricing disruption. It's not that their product Cisco doesn't do the same thing, but Cisco pricing was much higher than the. So many people like Atlassian, there is a company called Jira from Australia. It's a small company, Onkarji, from Australia, and they don't have any sales force in the world. Today, the company has a market valuation of $32 billion. $32 billion is the market cap of an Australian company called Jira, and they just sold Action Tracker software for all the software companies. $32 billion market cap. So that is by pricing, because they start selling the software at much lower pricing. For 2,000 employees or 4,000 employees, they were selling the software in $10,000, $15,000, which is 1/10 the pricing than their counterpart was selling or ERP was selling, and they become bigger than the ERP player. So you can choose any of the disruption method. And then validate your experts, a strategy with diverse set of experts and non-experts. Why I'm saying non-experts? A lot of time experts have a baggage of the past of success and failure. Sometimes you have to choose the strategy and validate with the non-experts, because non-expert will ask some silly questions, and those silly questions are more valuable than the smart questions, because sometimes silly question will throw the light which we have not paid attention to discover the unstated need of the customer. Next. In the banking, we look at what is the basic need of the bank. We say bank has only 3 purposes. You have to save and store money, you have to move money from point A to point B, and you have to borrow or invest money. If these are 3 functions of the bank doesn't do anything more than this. Bank looks very complex, HDFC Bank looks very complex, SBI looks very complex, but what they do internally, they are the only 3 things they do. Once they do the 3 things, next, what do we want to build? A principle of design principle. We say they want lowest cost to income ratio. Everybody wants lowest cost to income ratio. Everybody wants more income and lowest cost. How that can be possible? We need a more customer per product, or more product per customer, or more transaction per customer. There are only 3 ways the bank can make money. Either you have one product sold to many customers, or each customer buys more products, or each customer does more transaction. Now this becomes an algorithmic principle of designing a product. Once these are the 3 algorithmic principles of designing the product, then my design teams can design the product more efficiently. Next. Once you are choosing the right product and right principle of choosing the product, second is understand target addressable market. A lot of time we have a very good product, but my target addressable market is limited to my small city or a small state or to India. If we are looking for product in 2020, we should look global as a market. Whether my product and who are my buyers for this product. Whether it's a 1 billion people is a target addressable market, or 100,000 corporate, or 10,000 corporate. Now, if Indian company wise Zoho, if you look at it, they picked up a tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 companies as their target addressable market. Because SME segment has a larger addressable market. So even if you sell the product at $1,000 or $100, but you sell to 10,000 customers, you make more money than selling $10,000 product for 100 customers. So that's the philosophy they followed, because in IT we can distribute the policy over there. So that's a target addressable market. The third piece is product design. Once I identify first what is the product, what is the target addressable market, third thing is how do I design the product. I use a word over here called define user journeys. User journey means when customer experience a product, when WhatsApp I load it, what is my user journey? How much time and how much steps are there for downloading, making on my mobile, and then translating into usable commodity. What is the cycle time between them? So if I define the way user travel through my journey is called user journey. And principle of user journey is less is more, less number of clicks. And what is important there? 10, 100 gram, 1000 gram. Now, if you observe, WhatsApp has got a limited features. They have not given many features what many other applications have given. Google Chat is having a more feature than WhatsApp has. Google Chat has got 20 to 30 features, while WhatsApp has only 10 features. So less is more, and they've looked at those features which are easy to execute by any 70-year-old person or any villager or any rickshaw player. He can only play a few buttons. That's the power of 1000 gram. Create a landscape chart at L0 level of the product. So second thing is, when you choose a product, design a full landscape chart, which we call L0 chart, where what all the elements are required to make this product, how many user journeys are required, and then get into detailing by applying second principle of design thinking, that is last 2% is 200%. Create level 1 chart, create level 2 chart, and then up to level 3. Write pattern and anti-patterns for the user journeys, connecting the dots between product and product, inside and within the product, and outside the ecosystem. Now, outside the ecosystem is equally important. When you are designing a product, the product has to work in an ecosystem. Whether it has to work on Amazon ecosystem, or a AWS cloud, Azure cloud, or payment system of the country. So when you're looking fintech companies, now we have a NPCI, we have a RBI, some guidelines, some open APIs are there for private sector banks. So those are my outside ecosystem. So how my product will fit into that ecosystem, or how do I'm using open source for designing a product? This is a part of my product design. Move next. This is the type of product design we say this is my L0 chart, where I define for banking, for intellect I say G1, G2, each vertical line which is there are 10 different product line, because bank does a core banking, bank does a lending, bank does a credit card, bank does a wealth management, bank does a brokerage, securities, cash management. These are my lines of business. Then within that, multiple products. But this is a chart which we have designed in 2008. We are carrying forward till now. We don't change it. It's like periodic table for my business. So this chart of the product is like periodic table. Because the periodic table has a property, and based on that property, people act and react onto that. Next. Once I complete the product design, next is my technology design. Today, there are a lot of options available on technology. There are a lot of open source available for me. So I don't have to do a lot of dirty job which I was doing in 2010. Gone are the days when I have to do the raw coding. I have a low coding platforms, or I have an open source available. But before designing actual product on technology, the architecture is most important. A lot of time we don't spend enough time of designing the architecture of it. My personal experience is there are 7 types of architectures are required in a the way we design a multi-story building, 100-story building, we design plumbing architecture, electrical architecture, physical architecture. Similarly, for software application, the 7 architectures are required. First architecture is around customer experience, which is UI UX of the application. Second is around operation design. Third is around performance design of the application. Fourth is around data analytics design. Fifth is around risk design. What are the risks associated with the application? Sixth is around integration design. And seventh is around security design. So these 7 architectures have to get into the details of technology design. And then we need to go into level 1, level 2, level 3 of this design. So I say COPARIS. All the 3 elements, 6, 7 elements, I abbreviate them, called COPARIS. C for customer, O operations, P performance, A analytics, R risk, I integration, and S security. Then I go to L0, which is a macro design. Then go to next level design. Then you become micro design. Then do sub micro design. So the more you go deeper, you are covering 2% is 200%. And the way you go horizontal, you are covering the complete perspective of the application. So some of the applications which are not so successful application in the world are that we have taken 2-3 things over there, not all the 7 things over there. So these are the principle of technology design. Next. Now, once you design the product, so first you choose the product. Second, you choose the target addressable market. Third, you choose the product design. Fourth, you choose the technology design, and you created the product. Now it's a time to design the go-to-market. I am putting 10 questions of go-to-market. I'm not answering those questions here, but I'm saying these are 10 questions need to be answered when you're designing the go-to-market. A lot of time our startups have gone up to the stage 2 or stage 3, but go-to-market design sometimes is missing, and we don't spend enough time in go-to-market. By the time our funding gets lost, because I need to keep my reserve funding when I'm asking for the funding, and I say this project will take so much money. A lot of time I spend 90% of the funding before my completion of the project or product. I need to look at it that my go-to-market funding should be equal to my product design funding, because go-to-market require, if I have 100 rupees, I'm asking for 50 rupees should be product design up to product design. Next 50 rupees should be saved for the go-to-market design. And that's why a lot of startups can come into the trouble once you get into the last 10%, 10% money left for the go-to-market. Because there are 10 different questions on there. First question is, what is the business model of my product? It is an enterprise product. It's a cloud product. It's an open source product. Is the first over here, business model, designing the business model. Because enterprise product will be highly priced, but lower customer, I need a more sales force. If I have an open source, that I don't need a sales force. So business model is the first step. Next question. Who has solved a similar problem? I am a pioneer or a follower. If somebody else has solved a problem, if Zendesk has solved a problem, Freshdesk can take the same strategy what Zendesk has. So you don't have to do a lot of things which Apple has solved the problem. Samsung can pick up the same problem. If Apple sells the iPhone at $500, Samsung can sell at $400. They don't have to do much job if I'm a follower, if I'm not a pioneer. Next. What is my competitor landscape? What is the competition in Europe? What is the competition in America? What is the competition in China? I need to understand about each competitor and their practices. Next. Next. How are you able to articulate different? Now, once the first 3 are done, sometimes your product is similar, but your articulation makes a lot of difference. What is the messaging for the market? Like when Gmail launched their product, if you observed in their message, they used to say, you don't have to delete mail. They didn't say mail is a method of communicating effectively. They just mentioned you don't have to delete mail because they're given a 2 GB of mailbox free of cost to the, while in Microsoft, they were giving 100 MB database. So we have to delete the mail. So messaging becomes important when you are a follower. So Gmail was not a leader. Leader was Hotmail. But Gmail became a leader because they messaged very rightly and they solved the one problem called space problem of that just a one thing made a whole difference to their life. So articulation makes a very small difference. They have to have two messages. You don't have to delete. And one more message used to be there in 2004, 2005, I remember. And most of us moved for, and they say it's by invitation. It's not by anybody can get it free. They say it should be by invitation. Somebody should recommend my mail. They use the power of social networking for selling rather than selling by direct selling. So they adopted the model of social selling. So the step 5 is how do you design the vocabulary and message of the product in a language of the customer. So this language should be in the language of the customer. So Gmail has not said, oh, I have a technology which takes less space, less time. It's not a language of the user. User language was, I don't have to delete the mail. And I will recommend it. I'll gain a brownie points if I recommend the mail to my friend. Next. Now, digital marketing is the way we are working from home. Now, how do we sell without a sales team? Now, Jira, Atlassian company sitting in Australia with 30-40 people team selling globally without a sales team, without a global offices. Indian IT companies, we started setting up 30, 40, 50 offices in various countries wherever we go. Now, they never set up so many offices in so many countries and still able to sell in those countries because there is a method of digital marketing which can be used very, very efficiently because world doesn't know where you are speaking from, where you are serving from. Learning digital marketing is equally important. Then you are designing the commercial model. Question number 7 is, how are you designing your commercial model? Commercial model is freemium model. You give it free, then you charge for $10 for initial, or charge $100 for next initial, or you charge upfront. Today there are hundreds of commercial models available. Before jumping to the product, you look at commercial models of various companies. What are their licensing model? What their commercial model? Go to their websites. You can find it out. It's not difficult to find it out, but sometimes it's a blind spot for us, which I say, I don't know what I don't know. Next is how you're designing the pre-sale process. When the entire customer show the interest, how efficient the pre-sale process is. The entire pre-sale process has to be as efficient if it's a global process which is there. So it's complete design process needs to be done over there. Next. Then partnership ecosystem, because a lot of products can go with a partnership ecosystem. Designing the partnership ecosystem is important. You can ride on Oracle partnership ecosystem. You can ride on Amazon partnership ecosystem. You can ride on IBM partnership ecosystem, Apple iPhone ecosystem, Samsung, Android, any ecosystem. You need to pick up some ecosystem on which you can ride. Because for any new product to come in, setting up your own ecosystem will be very, very difficult. And finally, 10th question is, what are you designing? How are you designing the contract and patents? What are the patents of your product to protect yourself, or you are not? So patent has 2 elements. You should not be infringing on somebody else's patent, and you should protect your product with some patent of some nature. Patent could be design patent, product patent, or it could be a process patent. One should apply for it. You may not get it immediately. Don't wait for the completion of the patent because it takes 2-3 years to patent. So a lot of lawyers says don't go for the patent, but just filing the patent protects you for the future. And designing a good contract will be helpful for ensuring when you are in global space, somebody should not tilt you just because you don't have good contracts. So these are 10 questions about go-to-market. So this is a part 1 of the design thinking. Now I come to the part 2 of design thinking, which I say 13 core ingredients of design, the thinking. And I'll take it very small piece that these are the 13 elements which are help the design. First is skill. The team should have a skill. Expertise is a depth. Perspective is an aerial view. Idea is connecting the dot in a new fashion. Alignment is aligning the team where everybody thinks the same way, talks the same way. It's like everybody is aligned to the same language. So idea is nothing but connecting the dot in a new pattern. But this 5 things I call SAPIA. SAPIA is the 5 elements for a good design team where you need an idea team and perspective team. Next is but SAPIA is there in most of the companies. the differentiation of the company which I've seen which are working well and not so working well is about frictional forces. I call friction is a good as well as bad. How you use a frictional force. Doubt is good in an early stage of the product development, but doubt is not good when you're halfway in the product. Conflict is a difference of opinion, difference of perspective, and difference of expectation. Whether conflict between the customer and the vendor, or conflict between the two teams, two thought processes. To me, conflict and creativity are two sides of the same coin. And that's where encouraging conflict is important if you are encouraging creativity for product design. But how to deal with the conflict is important. That this is my difference of opinion. And in an organization, I should create a platform to say, I have a right to dissent. Third frictional forces is, how do I take failure? Failure results into anger, internal anger or external anger. So dealing the anger during the failure point, because in a journey of product, it's embedded with a multiple failures. It's not a one single failure. You may have to go through the difficult times at least 3, 4, 5 times before you succeed. Maybe 10 times before you succeed. Each time, what is your temperament to deal with your failure is equally important in a product journey. Fourth element is a fear of unknown. Sometimes we don't take decisions, bold decisions. If I give free, what will happen if I give this? I think move with the flow. What gives you the adoption of the customer? Finally, is the fifth one is the ego. Ego is I know it all. Ego is not about boldness, it's only I know it all. Some of the startup technology people who have 30 years of experience, 25 years of experience, we have a baggage of saying I know it all. How can we become children again as a novice of 21-year-old? How can we spend time in a bay of 21-year-old people and sit down with them and have a cup of tea with them to understand what the new technology means to them? And I think that's where the new generational change happens. Then you can apply your wisdom of 25 years on the top of the learning of 21-year-old fresh graduate coming to your office and work together with him as a child. It brings the best in you. When you work with a 21-year-old people, they ask a question, they will not respect you as much as the people who are 40 years people in the organization. For them, you are not a chairman, you are not a CEO, for them you are a one more individual whom they want to respect. They respect, but they don't respect you in a old fashion of saying dear sir or Mr. Sir, or have a cup of coffee, or they will not respect that way. But that's the fun of it, that you become like them. Next is a lot of us move to comfort zone. We need to move to vulnerability. Vulnerability is a multiplier lever. Human mind thinks 10 times faster when it's vulnerable versus comfort zone. In coronavirus, we are thinking 10 times faster than we are thinking when we were in a comfort zone. Second is appreciation. It's a free cost. In Indian context, we believe that we have to spend money to appreciate. Whatever you appreciate, appreciates. Third is limiting beliefs. A lot of time we have limiting belief that this is possible or this is not possible. We need to get rid of limiting belief. Is a third principle, which is the third principle or 3 capacity lever. In an older organization, the limiting beliefs are accumulated, and that's why the company are not able to take up a risk-taking projects. So limiting belief can be at physical level. I can be vegetarian, or I can be if I'm vegetarian, a non-veg dish in front of me will give you nausea. For non-veg person, that will give him a saliva. Why the human body reacts for the same emotion, it reacts differently. For same object is same, human being is same. Both objects are same. But the response of the human body, one gives saliva and one gives nausea, 2 glands get activated just by our belief system of limiting beliefs. Go back to the... So this is about 13 elements which I talk about. SAPIA, DCAT, and WAL are the 13 elements. Subodh, I think, has gone off from the net. From here on, I'll take design process. So first, I say design the thinking means 13 elements need to be prepared for the team. Everybody should be prepared that these 13 elements are there. Now there is a 5-step design process. First step of design process is empathize with the customer. I need to make a cartographic view of the presentation, the cartographic view of the situation. So what problem I'm solving, I make a cartographic view and I make a detective view. So cartographic view give me the ability of perspective. Detective view may give me the ability to go into details. From there, I work on understanding the persona of the customer well, what problem I'm solving, and how I define the problem. And this I can do by multiple tools in design thinking. I can do a persona mapping, I can do empathy mapping. Once I do persona mapping or empathy mapping, I will be able to define the problem very clearly. And for defining the problem, my yardstick of defining the problem is the problem statement should be able to write on an ice cream stick. You take old ice cream stick used to be there, take ice cream stick, and that ice cream stick, if I can write a problem, it means the problem statement should not be more than 8 words or 10 words. That is the should be problem statement. Today, when I see the slide with 10 items that this is a problem statement, that is not the problem statement. Go to the slide number, step 2, define. Subodh. Next slide. This one here, define slides. So asking the right question and paraphrase the problem statement. Next slide. So converge the real problem from data to empathize stage. So this is the most critical stage. Defining the problem is the most difficult stage for putting it in 8 or 10 words. Choose every word carefully. Once everybody in the team knows that this is my problem I'm solving, it will be faster for everybody to implement it. Once you define the problem, then you bring a ideation session, which is a divergence, which is a step 3, which is a divergence, where you can bring the team together. We can use Jamboard of Google or a whiteboards or physical space. It's the time for generating ideas, create possibilities. You do the brainstorming, you can do pattern card, you can do anti-pattern card. Anti-patterns are also equally important in designing for the divergence. Next. So divergence is bringing multiple expertise and perspective to generate ideas, divide into multiple groups to generate ideas. So I bring a team, some 40 people team, and divide into 8 people, and then they come out with ideas of 8 people or 6 people or 4 people. Round 1 is about positive pattern within and outside the organization. Round 2 is about anti-patterns, what fails in the real life. So these are the 2 stages we do for the divergence. Finally, 4th step is the convergence, not final step. Once I have all the ideas coming in, I may have 50-60 ideas. Now a lot of people do this idea generation session, but they don't know how to converge the idea. Now, if there are 2 ideas, I can bring 3 ideas and make it a one idea, combined idea, which is a 3rd idea. Convergence is not about which idea is better or worse. It is about creating affinity among those ideas and then creating a comprehensive idea by connecting the ideas into a common ideas. After connecting the ideas, then I will do the classify idea into quick, bold, and long-lasting impact. So if there are 20 ideas are there, some ideas are solving immediate problem, some idea could be very bold, some idea could be long-lasting ideas. So I will categorize into 3 buckets. These are quick, these are bold, these are long-lasting. So long-lasting idea, if I'm solving a quick problem, I let go long-lasting idea and park it for the future. Then I make choices, 10 gram, 100 gram, 1000 gram. I need to delete 100%. So I do the voting from the people who are what ideas are better and pick up those ideas. And then those ideas I take it to prototype and test design. That's a convergence stage. The 5-step process within the convergence. Next, this is I explained. Step 5 is clearly most powerful idea, which Western world has done beautifully, used beautifully. In Indian companies, we don't spend time in communication. Communication is one of the weakest link in our Indian companies. when you see the ad of any product, Hindustan Lever ad or product ad, it has got only limited number of words. How do they name the product? How do they package the product? Can you imagine almonds which are 500 rupees almonds can be sold at 2000 rupees a kg? A soap which is 200 rupees a kg can be sold at 2000 rupees a kg. So we don't realize that how packaging helps the product to sell 10 times with more cost. If you remember, if you look at one soap bar, I was looking at the price of the soap bar. It was Fab India soap is 100 rupees for 100 gram. It's 1000 rupees a kg. Do you believe that it's 1000 rupees you are paying for the soap? If somebody says 1000 rupees a sweet dish and 1000 rupees a almond, you're saying you're buying a soap at 1000 rupees a kg? But since they package it at 100 grams at 100 rupees, it looks okay for all of us to purchase. So naming, packaging, storyboarding, presentation, and distribution are the step 5 of the design thinking, where you need to spend almost 30% of your time or 40% of time in design thinking steps. It's like a movie director. The way he designed the movie, you need to design the movie of your product. Next. So these are 5-step design thinking process. Feel, define, diverge, converge, and communicate. You may find this 5-step process in many of the websites, many of the schools of design thinking, Stanford and many other places, IDEO, etc. They are all talk about this 5-step design thinking process. But this will help for you to grasp it faster. Now, summary of the 5 chapters, what I have given is choose the product, target addressable market, product design, technology design, go-to-market design, and design. The 6th one, which is not mentioned, is design the entire organization using 13 principles of 5 principles of SAPIA: skill, expertise, perspective, idea, and alignment. DCAF: doubt, conflict, anger, fear, and ego. 3 value drivers: vulnerability, appreciation, and limiting beliefs. And then 5-step process. So this is in a nutshell. I would say I finished my address over here, and I have written a small book on it, which is called Unmukt. It's available for download. Anbu, if you can pass on the link in the chat box, people can download the book to study in more details. If some people are interested in looking at it to get into more detailed session of it, I'm offering a course to STPI that after 4 to 6 weeks time, we can have a 2-hour session for the more deeper interested people in design thinking. So this is just a perspective view. How it is fitting into the Corona. We use this design thinking, Omkarji, on 12th February. First, we used internally. First team came out, first travel advisory came on 12th of February from Intellect. On 4th of March, we understood that the world will be losing $8 trillion because of it. We did a landscape view of the world on 4th of March.
Yeah.
Before that, Prime Minister Modi ji never spoke about it. 4th of March, nobody spoke about it. We had our internal meeting of the management committee. We said this is going to have entire tourism of the Europe will go away as soon as Italy has come into picture. So we calculated the whole money and we said the world will contract by $8 trillion. There will be $8 trillion will be lost by the world on 4th of March. That document is available in our. Then we could be able to prepare the organization at least 3 weeks before the actual announcement happened. So we started work from home on 15th March onwards.
Wow.
When the announcement happened on 22nd March.
That's great.
So sometimes design thinking helps because at an organization level, everybody
help. And I would say that we would love to organize 2-hour session for the startups and SMEs and IT industry of India. And we will seek time from you, and we will be very happy to organize 2-hour session for our audience.
Thank you, sir. Now all the questions, Subodh.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think I'm sure. I mean, today with the 13 principles of design thinking, I can see a lot of people have actually, learned a lot, and people in the chat window are commenting on that. So I think as one question which I saw, which came was primarily in terms of slight more understanding on the gram theory, which you talked about, your 10 gram, 100 gram, and 1000 gram. So I think one of the speakers wanted to listen a bit on on the gram theory further. So if you want to re-emphasize on that particular aspect of one, and we will also now go live. I know while you're answering, I will also request the audience to raise hand and ask question. All my STPA colleagues and directors and the industry people, do raise your hands now, and we will try to pass on the mic for your live questions. But this is the first question, sir, for you.
Yeah. So the philosophy is that when we prioritize, when you have 20 ideas on a whiteboard, normally we say all the ideas are okay, and then we start doing the action tracking. So when minutes of meetings are written, we get 10 items in a minutes of meeting. Now, what happens when you have 10 items? This action items becomes 20 items, 30 items, 40 items. It keep on accumulating. If we just post meeting, if we just weigh the idea that this action item will be 10 gram action item, or this is a 1000 gram action item, then people can be very clear on focusing on those 1000 gram action items versus 10 gram action items. So in 2010, I used to run my secretary used to have a action items board which is running into some 50-60 action items with every person. Somebody has a 30 action item, somebody has a 50 action item, or one downs of me. Now, post meeting my secretary, I'd say, what is the 3 action item for that person? So there may be 30 action item, which may be a 10 gram item. Park it, give it to the person. I will not track it. Let him do whatever he can do it. But 3 action items, I want to track it. So that is a theory of 10 gram, 100 gram, 1000 gram. When product feature need to be picked up in a product, some feature will be 1000 gram feature. So if you pick up 3000 gram features in your product application, that will be much better than having a 20 features in a product. That's the other way of looking at it. Yeah.
Great, thank you. We have one. I think we have Ashish Savani. He would want to ask a live question. So we are waiting for Ashish to come live very quickly. Ashwin Savani. Okay, I think while it is taking some time for him to come live, one question which also came from the audience was, if you have to pick up one distinguished character, right, based on design thinking process, that probably will distinguish startups in the Indian diaspora. So what would that be?
In Indian diaspora?
Yeah.
I think design thinking, Zoho has done a very good job in design thinking. Sheetal Vembu has done a very good job in design thinking, I would say, from Indian diaspora. And some of the Bangalore people are doing it, but I'll not like to name individually.
Great. Okay, no issues. I think, again, looks like he was having some problem. So we probably will try to connect with Chinmayanand. Yeah, I think Chinmayanand is there. Yeah.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. And I really got privileged to hear to Mr. Arun Jain. It was really marvelous thing. See, now we actually were working on a robotic product for the beverage cooking. And many of my mentors suggest that you launch it faster with whatever is you have. But what has mindset that let me make it a perfection stage and then launch it. So what's your view on that? Because I'm referring to this 2%. Yeah. I want to actually inherently last 2 years, I want to reach at the 2%. But many says that, no, don't go with the 98%. What's your view on that?
It's a question of whether you have 2%. You need to complete something to test out in the market, because unless you get some feedback from the market, so some of your mentors which you're prescribing, but whatever you're launching the features, that should be 100%. So you can withdraw some of the features which are not to be done. Sometimes an inventor always wants to add more and more functionality because he's discovering every day, and he gets into the cycle of perfecting. So you need to close down certain things, that these are the 5 user journey. I launched the product, and after I launch the product for 5 user journeys, that product will be complete. Those 5 user journeys should be perfect, and rest of the user journey can come later on. That is my recommendation to you. Yes, Rakesh ji.
Sir, namaskar. So yes, nice to see you. Sir, my question goes to your start of this session. that is the Darshan Charit and the design thinking. Sir, spend 1 minute taking us there. The philosophical background of design thinking.
Yeah. So I think what I connect my design thinking with a lot of Jain philosophy. What I learned. So there's a good session. I take it for Jain philosophy that all Hindu philosophy of saying when you are a good design thinker, you need to have a good mind first of all. Good mind is all the Hindu philosophy says my purity of mind is important, purity of purpose is important. Once the purity of purpose is there, then you have a better darshan. And once you have a better darshan, your design will be more humanistic because it solves the real human problem out of it. So darshan is a very, very deep word, which the more we understand the word, the better we appreciate the word, because it's all about darshan in our society, which changes the way humanity lives and humanity works. So, Rakeshji, I'll take it up separately. Anyway, I know you personally, so I'll take you separately.
We have, yes, Nikhil. Sir, you
Yeah.
were saying something? Yeah, Nikhil, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. That session was really insightful. I have a big question. I'm a very young entrepreneur working on an idea to solve a problem in the field of real estate for the young students and the migrants. So my question for you is that I'm working on an idea. I have a break-even point of 6 months, and the ultimate demand coming out is very prominent and very demanding in the society. So is that will be a good lucrative point for the investors to invest in my idea, or I need to bring my break even point to a much shorter before launching?
For what is the application you have, Nikhil?
Sir, I'm working on a real estate like a accommodation service. So where my investment is coming out in such a way that my break-even point is coming out of 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months is too short a period for break-even point for a product of the size. So 6 months. So don't have to cut down the time for less than 6 months.
Okay,
I think if it's about your dream. What is the size of your dream? Size of dream is big enough, then even 2 years break-even point is good enough. So don't have to cut short the break-even point. But look at it, the detailing. You should have a team who can work on detailing. Otherwise, what happens? You can be successful in first 6 months, but you'll not have a capacity. So whether you're using a Maruti engine or you're using a truck engine, you need to look at it what engine you are putting in together inside your design idea. So I will not able to comment immediately on it, but that's a way we need to look at it. How much you want to grow? You want to grow the company to 100 crore? You want to grow the company to 10 crore? You want to grow the company to 10 crore? Each requires a different kind of a design thinking process.
I got my answer. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Amit?
Yeah, hi, Arun sir and Omkar ji and the rest of the team, and thank you for arranging this session. The question what I have is related to the current market scenarios, right? I mean, we understand that now the new adoptability of the emerging technology would take a back step within the organizations around the globe, and also it will impact the Indian companies to adopt the new innovative products. And their investment in the innovative products would not be that aggressive what it was before these scenarios. So what do you think that the new entrepreneurs who are working heavily on these emerging technology and the products around these technology should do in terms of the design thinking and reshape their product, and some examples what you think they should take forward?
So Amit, my view is I think we need to recognize the reality of the world that this has happened, and for next 9 to 12 months, world will be like this. So Corona will be there. This up and down lockdown will happen. This will be the reality of the life. But world is not 9 months. World is the next 5 years. This is we need to look at it. What is next 3 years to 5 years? What we want to do. Obviously, we need to get into hibernation mode. We need to reduce down our cost structures to lowest level during this phase. Our burn rate should be much lower right now. And then during this period of time, we need to focus on detailing. It's like when in 100 years back, when Switzerland, other countries used to go, when the snow used to be there, people used to be locked down for 30 days and the was not there. In all the Sweden and the North Europe, that used to go into that mode. And that's the situation we are in right now. So, but they used to invent a lot of things during this time. The beauty of this is you use your time to sharpen your product to make it world class. That will be my suggestion to you, Amit.
I think we got Chinmay and Prashant again.
Next question is that I know I'm sure you might have multiple of good ideas in past and present also. Just I want to know that, let's say, when you will get the multiple ideas, what you think and your peers think that can be have good implementation. Like let's 4 months before, since last 3 years I'm working on one idea, but due to COVID we got few more ideas that to implement. So how to prioritize? Should we go for the new ideas or should we left that? Or how you deal with?
It's always there. I think that as a good designer, good thinker, good idea generator, you will have multiple ideas. And as you travel to the road, you will find 2 more horizons and 2 more roads will be visible to you. And that's very natural. And that happens in our journey. My journey happened when you look at it. And that's how the journey of the organization move. We need to look at it when the new idea is there. Is it based on the previous ideas? So, like when I have service business Polaris, product business is on the top of the service business in the same banking space, then that idea is positive because my experiences of last 30 years is leverage in a intellect as a company. But if new idea is totally lateral to what I don't have a competencies, then it becomes a disruptive idea because then all the experiences of the past. So if you have done robotics and you have built up some algorithms there, you built up some components there, and if those are being reused by repackaging in some manner where in a short period of 30 days, 50 days, 60 days you can bring a much better product, then go for it.
Okay.
But don't go completely out. So if I would have set up a product company in manufacturing setup, then that would have been my disruptive idea that, okay, I know how to write a product. But that doesn't mean that I know the domain of the particular space in where I want to write an idea. So idea should be in similar space. That's what my recommendation is.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
So I think we are trying to get a few more questions, but we are facing some issues, in taking up the questions online right now. I guess if Shrikant, yes, Shrikant, I think yes, you're there.
1 o'clock, Subodhi.
Yeah.
You're on mute, Subodhi.
I am mute.
Can I hear you, sir?
Okay, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jain. It was a wonderful presentation, really eye-opening. I have one question for you, and it's about design thinking and product market fit, right? When we create a product that we take to the market, right? We have an idea about what the market requires, and we craft our product and we take it out. And when the feedback that we get from market, the feedback that we get from the market suggests that the market has what I would deem as quote unquote unrealistic expectations from our product. Idea, I mean, things that are probably not as scalable in our product offering. When we encounter a situation where the market is expecting significantly more from what we can deliver in our product, how do we reconcile between our notion of what the product should be and what the market expects? How do we bridge the gap?
Okay, so right. I have to just reload it. Just repeat the question again.
I'm sorry. The question is about product market fit, right? When we take a product to the market, and the market, the feedback that we are getting from the market suggests that they are expecting significantly more from the product, and part of which we think are unreasonable in terms of our scalable delivery model, right? How do we reconcile and how do we bridge this gap
should we tweak our product significantly to fit the market, or should we try to refashion the expectation of the market, which I think is very difficult? How does design thinking help go about bridging this gap?
So Shrikant, if we go to market and we find that market is expecting more than what your current product has, and they want to tweak the product, there are two possibilities are there. One possibility is my first step of design thinking, which is a complete cartographic view of the product, is incomplete. So I didn't define all the user journey, and maybe I have not applied the design thinking. That is my feedback from the market, that your product design is incomplete. So you have to go back to the design table to complete the product. So ideally, a good product design should take care of 90% plus possibilities in the marketplace, so that it left with only 10% possibilities. A lot of time we don't spend enough time in design. In Polaris also, in my personal experience, my teams used to spend 10% time in design and 90% time in deliveries. Only after so much of a design thinking forces, today my teams are looking 40% time in design and 60% time in delivery. But it took me 7 years for team to change the mindset of the culture that they have to spend 40% time in the design. We as Indians are very our hands जैसे आइडिया आता है हम हाथ से काम करना शुरू कर देते हैं, इमीडिएटली काम प्रोडक्ट बनाना शुरू कर देते हैं. थोड़ा रुको, उसको हाथ को रोको, नहीं तो जो खुजली होती है हाथ की उसको रोकना पड़ेगा हमें डिजाइन टाइम पे. और वो दैट डिस्टर्ब्स अस व्हेन वी गो टू द मार्केट. The market says that these are the 10 features which is not there, and then you have to come back on design table. So I would say this may be a symptom of an incomplete design, or it may be symptom of not a right segmentation of the customer. Sometimes we design the product for tier 3 segment and we go to tier 2 segment, or we go to tier 1 segment. That could be second possible diagnostic can be there for the problem statement. We might have designed a product for a small bank, but we go to SBI to sell that product. The way SBI 100,000 customer versus bank has 100 million customer, these two product design will be very different from each other.
We have Dasji, STPI director from Guwahati.
Good afternoon. Excellent presentation. Thank you for that. You are practically a master blaster. I just wanted to find if the whole process of design thinking can be minimized into the old 6 hats of De Bono.
Yeah. So, Vishas, 6 hats are required during the step 1 of design thinking process, or step 3 of design thinking process. When you do the addition,
It looks like we were facing, I think, some connectivity issues from Arun Jain's side.
Yeah,
so he's reconnecting. Yeah, sir. Yes, I think.
Yeah.
Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so Mr. Das, I think De Bono hats are not just, they are only one part of design thinking process. It's a step 3 when you do the ideation, then the De Bono steps comes in when you do the ideation part. But before that, you do a cartographic view, defining the problem statement, and then your convergence is happening, and then the communication is happening. Those are different sciences of beyond De Bono 6 hats. 6 hats are very useful in step 3 of design.
Thank you.
Yeah. So one, I think, just a very probably last thoughts from I think we are seeing. I mean, as I think we touched upon today also. I mean, the world is changing and the environment is becoming slightly difficult for startups. Looks like growth at any cost, paradigm is probably being changed with growth with a bigger focus, right? It's being seen that there was always a blitz scaling, which was a long applauded culture in the startup world, which was probably brought forward from Reid Hoffman, right? So I think it's which was primarily through prioritizing speed of scaling over efficiency in the environment of uncertainty, right? Is it this is the paradigm right now with COVID-19 in happening? It's that model with the startups is changing. Instead of blitz scaling, which was always scale, right, rather than efficiency. So what do you from our speakers, any thoughts? And this probably will be slightly last question, probably in a way.
Yeah, suppose I think some of the time what is happening in startup is investor-led rather than a technology-led or a passion-led. A lot of innovations should be led by the passion of the problem solver and solve the problem. When it's investor-led, I have a very significant difference of view from the investing community. They ask for the business plan. What is a 3-year business plan?
Yeah.
How a startup can give me a 3-year business plan? It's a fundamental. Polaris. Did I knew that I can be 100 crore company? I was just a 50 lakh company which is there. Can I believe in this 100? So if I give a plan of 5 crore rupees, he will be happy. But if I have given a plan of 5 crore rupees from 50 lakh rupees, I would remain as 5 crore company. I would never have become 100 crore company. So business plans are limiting to myself. So the whole ecosystem, which is driven by the investor community, not led by the people who want to solve the business problems, is a fundamental issue which is there in the industry. People should be passionate about what problem they are solving, what technology they want to use to solve the problem. Once they are passionate, then investor should be second leg to it, not a first leg to it. And then you have a complete design thinking process should be applied to it, rather than shortcutting the process steps. And you need to have multiple people on his wisdom and the scale. So scale should not be the first agenda, because scale cannot be first agenda. First agenda is problem solving of some customer. He has a pain. If you solve the problem of the pain, then only it can become a scale later on. Because
Okay, I think looks like we lost connection with Arunji again. So, sir, I think while I think we'll wait for him to come back.
Yeah.
Back again, yeah. Yes, I think so. Sorry, we lost you in between. So you're talking about scaling as the passion versus scaling, and the passion of the entrepreneurs versus the focus from, or what the thought process which was coming from investing community. Yeah. Sir, go ahead.
So finally, I'm just saying, too early scaling. Scaling is the only outcome of something which your problem you solved. Outsourcing, the STPI did outsourcing of India. Scaling, they didn't plan for the scaling so much. They planned for the problem solving and opportunity which is there. In 1981, I don't think in STPI has ever thought of it that scaling will be so much. But they said, okay, there's an opportunity of solving certain problem, and that problem could be of international Y2K problem can be solved out of India. That is the one simple premise on which we started. Scaling happened during the journey, but scale cannot be objective for a first place, and the speed is not an important thing. The first place, I think it's when you are going through the journey, you get a speed. Sometimes those are lucky moments when you get a viral impact of your offering, and suddenly we grow from 2 crore to 260 crore in 7 years. Between 1993 to 2000, we were 2 crore company in 1993. By 2000, we are 260 crore company. How did it happen? I don't know. I can take a credit of it that we grew 100% year on year. Not really. Many things are there which are market-driven factors and offering-driven factors, which is not accountable to me. But normally we take a credit as a entrepreneur. That's my journey. But say many other things which goes on to it. Thank you.
No, thank you, sir. Just one, last question to DG sir. I think, sir, if you can unmute yourself. There was a topic which was touched upon by Shri Arun Jain ji, was also in terms of efficiency coming through work from home, right? And as a parting thought, is this work from home culture in the IT industry, which you also talked about, that this is something which has come out very good. Is it here to stay, or will it be a temporary scenario?
No, in fact,
work from home.
If you look at IT industry of India, the very nature of outsourcing was serving your clients from a distant place. So the point is that culture of working from away from the,
You're on the mute, sir.
no, I'm
I can hear you.
okay.
I can hear
think,
you. Yeah.
I'm not.
No, I can hear you.
Once Arunji confirms that he's listening, I will speak because I need his validation.
Okay.
You can
Sure,
hear
I'm
me now,
listening.
right? You get my
I'm
voice?
listening, yeah. Yeah, I can listen.
Okay. So the very nature of the outsourcing model was based on delivering services to your clients from remote place, from a different place other than the client's place. Now, the whole evolution of IT industry, if you look at, IT as a service was delivered to your clients through the IT means, tools, through connectivity, through bandwidth and all. So the same nature, same culture has evolved. And now, if you look at most of the IT companies, the IT services, their IT infrastructure is managed remotely. Now, the point is that this culture of working from home or working remotely was intrinsic in the culture of IT industry, which has been of great help. Because of this, the IT industry has been quick to adopt to the work from home culture. And now that was the silver lining in times, because the IT industry stood even in these times has been able to deliver its customers and has been booking the software exports in their books. So the point is that for IT services, for business process management, other than call, it's not very difficult to create a collaborative platform, create a kind of platform where work from home culture can be even continued after this lockdown is withdrawn. But for call services, voice-based services, the work from home was little difficult because the end equipment was to be brought at the agent's home or the employee's home. That was little difficult, which was relaxed by the Department of Telecom. OSP license conditions were relaxed. STPI also issued its own order effecting on 12th of March itself for facilitating work from home. So I'm very sure that even this lockdown is withdrawn, the work from home culture would continue in the IT industry. But for call services and other, there are requirements, technical requirements. There are, I mean, more things are required to be done, more provisions are to be made, and more training has to be imparted. Security has to be provided. The connectivity has to be very secure. Data has to be encrypted. So many things have to be done so that you can facilitate working from home in terms of business process and call services. This is my point of view. I think I would also request Arun Jain ji to give his point of view, because he is the person who has really delivered these services real time and through by his own hands. So he's the right person to add on it.
Yeah. Okay, Arunji, if you can. I know you spoke about,
I think this is
over to you, Arunji. I think
talking
we
about
need
that
to
how
comment.
I think we are facing some
yeah,
issues.
I'm saying, can you hear me or no?
Yes.
Okay, we'll just reload
No,
it.
we can hear you very quickly. I think, yeah.
Can hear
Is
you.
there?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay, so my view is Omkarji is going to come up. I think we are still finding that can we do 20% teams, 30% team, 40% teams to be doing it, but entire team should be there. That's a kind of a thinking process evolving. We don't have an answer yet. Something will change, and I think we'll be discussing in the management teams where the highest productivity is there. But traffic on the roads will come down, actually, definitely. Some traffic reduction will happen.
Correct. So I know at the end, I think we really had a good time. I think we overshot by 15 minutes in the current discussion. So let me thank my distinguished speakers, both Shri Arunji and and Dr. Omkar Rai, Director General of STPI. I also want to thank my team, STPI Chennai team, and Director Sri Sanjay Tyagiji, to putting up the session on a very short notice. Also thank STPI HQ, a team, STPI Next team, and the AirMeet team for doing this.